Welcome to Afrotennis TV, the podcast where tennis and Africa meets.
Hello, Andrea. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Matt. How are you doing?
Yeah, still there, as usual.
Matthew and I are your co-host of today and the rest of the episodes. And Matthew, tell us what is a little bit of the Afro Tennis podcast, what we created for.
I would say that the Afrotennis podcast is a little bit like the following of the Instagram page, and you see, Afrotennis is supposed to be like the platform where people can find information about tennis in Africa, information about people who wants to push tennis on the continent, and at the end, you see, connect people together. You see, because I think that unfortunately, today in the world of tennis, we have a lot of black people, playing tennis, but we don't. So, in my opinion, and I think that we don't see them enough. You see, and especially the people who play tennis in Africa, and by doing this podcast and by doing this Instagram page, I think that we give them a little bit the opportunity to be seen. Andrea, who says podcast, says big topic. So about what are we going to talk about tonight?
Yes. Tonight, the first topic of the podcast is coming big. Podcast of the day is tennis a white elitist sport?
That's a big question. We are talking a little bit about our experience in tennis, you see,
Yes.
and especially as a kid. So just tell me, how tennis, started for you?
It's so funny because I'm originally from Equatorial Guinea. That is the only country in Africa that speaks Spanish. And I remember growing up, my family used to always put me. I was born in Spain, but I'm from there. And I remember my family always put me in like white schools, and I was always getting used to be the only black kid in my class. And I remember in this last school in high school, there was this guy that was new in the school, and there was this guy that he was black, and he was always playing tennis. Like every time, even in free time after lunch, he was playing tennis. I was like, this is really interesting. I want to get to know him, but the only time he's playing, so maybe I can just go there. And at first, it was really bad. I'm not gonna lie to you, Matthew. I used to play tennis like it was baseball, like this. It was like going so far, and I didn't have no spin or anything, but I used to love it. Just the whole thing and the whole energy was bringing to me. And it was until I think I was like 7 when I was 11, and it was until I was 12 that my school made like a school trip in Madrid to the Madrid Mutua Open. And it was the first time that I saw someone that looked like me, a black person, playing tennis, but not also playing tennis, winning the tournament. And that person was Serena Williams. After seeing her not only dominating the court, but also people appreciating her skills, and also see how confident she was, I noticed that tennis is not only a sport to play, but also as a sport to get a lot of confidence, self-confidence. So I started seeing tennis as a habit for me to get my confidence up, and also as a way to showcase my skills in a sport way. So after that, I continued playing tennis, and I would say that was my first experience playing tennis. And I think it kind of get connected with the fact of the topic of the day. Is tennis a white elite sport? Because even playing tennis in my school, not only I was the only girl, but I was the only black person playing tennis. So I would say that it kind of goes hand in hand in terms of the sport that we're talking about, and I guess the culture we are gonna present itself as well. But tell me about yourself because we both have different backgrounds. So
in my family, so but first of all, just because it's important for the story and for the connection too. So yeah, I would say so. I'm not a real African, you see. I'm an African by extension. So when I say that, it's because so my family is from the Caribbean, so from a French island called Guadeloupe. So that's why I use the expression African by extension. You see. And also in my family, all the guys so play football. You see, and it's funny because so my mother she's definitely like the kind of mother who always protected me. So when I was a kid, and she didn't want me to get hurt at football, and so that's why she made me start with tennis. So and what is a little bit a shame. So I can't really remember so how tennis started at the beginning. To be honest, so as a kid, I have I've never been really confronted to these social questions. You see, so to be honest, so I was playing tennis, but it was there. You see, so I took my racket. Every week I wanted if I wanted to go play tennis, so I got my trainings and everything was fine. So doing like I don't know, I think that I stopped after so around 15 before so starting again. It's more as an adult you see that I started to see a little bit the reality of the sport, because once again, so with the eyes of a kid, I couldn't really notice that. But yeah, I think that this topic is tennis a white elitist sport is really a good question because I think that in the black community, there is a little bit like this tendency of self-exclusion. If we talk about like the physical representation,
yeah,
So I think that sometimes, black people can be scared about trying something new, you see, because they will have the feeling maybe that they don't fit
yeah,
in, I would say, like with the common people, you see. And I have to admit that even today, and even so when I was a kid, so I think that I saw one day a black trainer that
Oh
I
my
had like
God.
during a tennis boot camp. But to be honest, so when I was a kid, so I don't have like I can't remember that I was playing with other black kids, you see.
Yes.
And even so because after I left France, so now I'm living in Germany, and even in Germany, so I don't see like black people playing tennis. And I know one girl here in Berlin, you see, but Berlin is a big city. But
Yeah.
before I used to live so in another city called Cologne and another one called Münster. In Münster, I've never seen a black person playing tennis. And in Cologne, I think, yeah, so 3 persons, if I'm not wrong.
It's so funny what the last thing you said that how long did it took you to actually see someone looking like you playing a sport that you like? It's crazy. It's supposed to be the opposite, right? It's supposed to be like we're supposed to be in every sport. But
Mhm.
it's crazy. I remember like the first time, after high school, and I studied abroad in Canada. That was the first time that I joined to the college tennis team,
Mhm.
and that was when I started seeing like Afro Canadian players being part of the team. But it was different. I was noticed that it was different because I was like, hey, I'm African, so like
Mhm.
with them, even with like black people, like from the West, from America and Canada, you can also see the difference. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would
But
say
so
that, yeah,
so would you say that so just in order to understand so what you say, so would you say that you saw like more black people playing tennis in the American continent?
Oh, definitely, 100%. I haven't wait since today. That is the 11th of January 2024. I haven't seen a black person in Spain playing tennis,
Um,
and Spain is big on tennis. So
yeah, so
crazy.
I think that so black people in Europe, at least,
Yes,
because I
Europe.
think that in
Yeah,
America, I have a little bit the same feeling than as you. I think that in Europe, so there is a little bit, yeah, a tennis problem with black people. You see. Happy to see that you are still following this episode of the podcast. If you like it, please give us a small rating, and for sure, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Afrotennis and to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You know why? You know why? And and that's why you see. So even so, me, I try to even I will not lie. You see, so tennis can be expensive. If you want to be a professional, for sure, it's going to cost a lot. You see, but at our level, I think that tennis is really accessible for everyone. But I think that because of this cliche, this cliche to say that tennis is a sport for rich people. Me, we are black. We are black. And we know so what are like unfortunately the shortcuts. So when we talk about rich people, if a black person thinks, okay, tennis is a sport for rich people, this person will think unfortunately it's a sport for white people, because most of the time when we think about rich people, we think white people. And once again, it's
by
also so
default.
it's a shame a little bit. You see, it's a shame, and I think that's why for example, because it is like this big cliche that okay, rich people, white people. I think that for me, it's probably like the main reason of this self-exclusion with tennis in Europe. So I don't know. So what is your point of view so regarding that? But
I think you
yeah.
made such a big statement just recently when you said that when we think about just even the word rich and we apply it to a sport, like a rich sport, we already think about a specific type of race. And that's something
Exactly.
that happened to us, but it can happen to the Asian culture, the Indian culture, the Hispanic culture as well. We
Okay.
are conditioned to think this way, and I think at least we are aware that is something that has to be changed, because these days you see I don't know if you saw the Forbes list of the most highest paid athletes, but at least for tennis in the female side, Kovagov was number one, and she's not only a female, but she's black. So like,
Yeah.
I think we're like maybe 10 years ago, with like all the generation of athletes used to think about millionaires to be from one specific race, that in this case white. But I think about we are really in a age when we are switching gears.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
Yeah.
even Asian athlete can be a millionaire. Black athlete can be a millionaire. Hispanic athlete. So it's good that we acknowledge that part, but it's also good that we acknowledge that it's coming into an update. People are realizing
Mm.
that, and I think
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
really good the point that you made for sure.
That's why tennis, in my opinion, so needs a kind of social revolution. You see, because there is a lot of minds which need to be changed. You see, so from what I think, it should be done first. They're like another cliche. And it's connected actually to this elitist rich sport. It's to think that tennis it's not like financially accessible. But once again,
Yeah, that's a good point.
it's so wrong, you see, because the last time I had another discussion with the guy, and he was saying that tennis is expensive. And and I wanted to start the discussion with him. So I did pretty easy. So I went on internet and I just checked in some cities around Paris, you see, comparing the football offers and comparing the tennis offers. And the biggest, so I didn't check everything in it, but the biggest, the biggest difference that I could find, it was €100 on a year, you see, between, so for tennis was a little bit more expensive, you see, but it was just a difference of €100 on the year, you see. So basically, it's nothing. So if you want to play tennis, to be honest, you can find like something around 250 a year. And to be honest, it's not so inaccessible. It can be done for everyone. And sometimes we talk about the equipment too. Today, we've got Decathlon, French brand, and they do like a pretty good job, to make everything accessible. So for each pocket, So, and even tennis. The last time, so because I'm coaching people, they were asking, "Hey, Mathieu, which racket can I buy?" And you are a beginner. You go to Decathlon. To be honest, you can have like a good racket for 30, 35 euros, and then you're gone. You see, bam, you get some tennis. So once again, like this financially aspect of tennis, once again, at our level, so just like a recreational person who wants to play like tennis like that, or who wants to start tennis, it's doable. It's not a question of big money.
Yes.
And that is the thing. For me, like the only biggest problem of tennis, so I would say in Germany, because that's where I live for the moment, it's to find a court. No, really, because if you want to play tennis, most of the time you need to be like to be a member in a club.
Yeah.
And I would say that if you want to rent a court, so it's overbooked, or you need to go like maybe more, around the city, and maybe it's
hopefully
exactly. So it takes time to go and play tennis. Which actually, so if I compare with Paris, in Paris, so it's pretty central. So if you want to play, there is a lot of infrastructures where you can play, and it's good.
How about I think a part of the materials needed, I think the federations are a key part on someone or a players in different countries in Africa to being able to access this sport. It's kind of like the CAT, the Confederation of African Tennis. It's really aware of all the clubs and federations in the continent and how to allow them organizing competitions, regional competitions, and things like that to give these players the visibility and the potential WTA, ATP chances and points. What are your thoughts about the confederations itself, their role they take place in tennis, in African tennis?
That's a good question. That's a good question because I think that it depends. So it depends of the country. You see.
Yes.
I can see that, for example, North African tennis confederations, they do the work because actually, so they even host tennis events, for example, like especially in Tunisia, for example, or Morocco. I have been in Uganda in order to support a tennis association, and unfortunately, like the government doesn't do a lot in order to support tennis in the country, you see. I think that most of the time, so in Africa, so if you see tennis growing up, it's more due to private people, who support projects, create projects, try to look for funds in order to give the opportunity to play tennis. But until now, so I would say like I don't know everything from my perspective.
We're still learning, guys. We're still learning.
Exactly. But from what I see, I could see like, for example, that at least in Angola, like even like the sport minister supports so initiatives because like a couple of months ago they hosted their first junior ITF tournament, and I know like the sport minister was there. And for example, so when it happens in Uganda, for example, like the last even like the last year, so same
Yes.
couple of months ago, after I think like 9 years, they hosted once again a tournament, and I don't hear that the star was there in order to support the cause. And actually, you see, like because we are talking about African tennis, you see, so Afro tennis actually, is a good way to lead by example. You see, so I think that, for example, when a black person in Europe see that how many people are playing tennis in Africa, so I think that it can be like a kind of motivation way to start the sport too. Because it was interesting because you said that so when you were a kid, so for sure we know so how you started tennis, but you said after that Serena Williams was a kind of role model for you,
Definitely. She was and she still is, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why like the representation is really important. So even me, so when I was younger, so my role models, so it could be Gael Monfils, James Blake, like the American guy.
Yannick Noah.
Yannick Noah, not really, because they're like, hey, Yannick Noah, it's old, Yannick Noah,
I mean, the only African, well, half African that won the Roland Garros.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Because you talk about Yannick Noah. I was talking. I was telling you that for me, tennis federation Europe, and especially so where you can find a lot of black people, playing football. They should actually so take their responsibilities to once again open the doors of tennis. And for example, Yannick Noah, since 1996, he created an association so called Faites le Mur. And with this association, for example, so you've got a lot of volunteers who go in, for example, so what we call les quartiers in French, where they come and they present tennis to these people, And so, and from a social perspective, it's amazing, Now, it's not I am the only black, playing tennis, surrounded of white people, But then this sport, can start to be like more mixed. You see, I think that you can go even in my way. What did you tell me about a game that you went to see? Yeah. No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna make sure that you guys can see the picture. Hopefully. So I was telling you the other day that I just kind of make a little bit of throwback moment. Last year, I like to go to tournaments here in Spain, tennis tournaments. And as I said earlier, I was living in Canada, so Canada, like Tennis Canada, for me, it's I have a really tight relationship. And I knew that they were coming to play for the Davis Cup. There was Canada versus Spain. And I was like, I cannot miss this. I just cannot miss this. So I was like, okay, I reached out to them on Instagram, like, hey guys, I'm here. I would like to go there, but I don't have a ticket. They're like, yeah, sure. Just pull up, ask a fan, and we'll help you out, get through and stuff. And so I got my ticket and stuff. And then when I was like on the stadium, trying to get in, I saw two black men walking by. And I'm like, this whole crowd, they were white people. I'm like, this thing that black people have. When you see someone black and you black, And you're like,
it happens to me a lot in Germany, a lot in Germany.
so like might as well just like ask them who they are, like what are they doing here, if they like tennis. But they were like older, like maybe like my dad's age. So I talked to them, and lucky enough, one of them was a French speaker, and another one was English speaker. So my first language is Spanish, my second language is English, French a little bit. So I asked them like, "Hey, who are you guys? What are you doing here?" And one of them was like, "Oh, I'm Felix Ogiales in that, and then I'm Felix's uncle, and we are here because he's playing with the rest of the team and things of that sort." And I was like, yeah, that's really nice. Can I sit with you guys to, support the team and things like that? They were like, yeah, sure. Okay. Jumping into the moment of the match. Imagine, guys, the whole stadium is packed of white people. It was 3 black people in the in the stadium. Well, 4. Felix playing against Carlos Alcaraz. Felix dad. Felix uncle, and myself. Imagine being able to look at the whole stadium and just think 4 people.
Yeah.
It was awkward and funny.
That's really a call for black people watching this video. Yeah. Black people in Europe, stop putting yourself limits. That's why I was really talking about changing the mindset, you see. So changing the mindset, it means when we talk about this kind of topic, stop thinking that things are made for white people. And I even say for white people, because if we reverse the thing, I have never heard a white person say, okay, I will not play basketball because basketball, that's a sport for black people. I have never heard that, you see.
Really?
When I was a teenager, when I was saying I play tennis, I could, hear other young black guys, you see, told me, hey, Mathieu, about tennis, it's a sport for white people. And that's the problem, you see. So black people watching these videos, tennis is for you. So go play tennis, please.
Go play tennis. I wanted to go back to one thing you said about the accessibility, because we are talking. The good thing about Matthew's background and my background is that yes, we're black, but we were raised in another environment that allow us to see how it can be accessible here in Europe for black people in Europe, but also how it can be accessible for African people living in African countries. Because in Afrotennis page on Instagram, you guys are able to not only access the news and content of your country tennis news, but also get to know how to get involved with it. Because sometimes it's all about that, it's all about, well, I cannot see it on social media or I cannot see it on Google. Maybe that's the point, maybe more accessible for people to be like, at least there is something that you can actually access. And I think big kudos to Afro Tennis Club because it's a great platform in those terms. Like me as like before jumping into being part of the team, I used it. I used it to see the news. Like, what are the next tournaments happening in Africa? How the tennis federation in Kenya doing? How the tennis federation in Morocco doing? And what are the African tennis players that are going to USA because of scholarships opportunities? All this news and content that you may think that is not available, Afro Tennis Club got it right for you.
Exactly. Now, I mean, that's I would say like Afro Tennis is big because it covers for sure a lot of topics. Let me come back, to one of you mentioned. So make the sport accessible even for people in Africa. As a black person in Europe, I always, see me like a person who is privileged. That and I want to be able, at my humble level, sorry, to to share a little bit, And I think that if you're black and if you like tennis, and even if you're not black and you like tennis, you see, because once again, so making the African tennis grow is not a question of race or of color.
Or how you look like? Not at all.
Exactly, you see, so you can be white and be involved of the growth of the African tennis, you see. And,
please give the example, the example you told me when we first met. How this. Please give us an example of when we first met. You explained me about this ATP player that you guys collaborated with.
But like Olga Rune, so for example, so he has been and his mother actually, so Anneke, so they were like pretty nice but actually to send a lot of material, and even not even to only to me, you see, but they really like dispatched a lot of materials for kids in Africa, and actually, so I could have a part of this big donation to send the materials to Uganda. Tennis lover in Europe, should really take the opportunity to visit our page.
Yes.
Get in touch with the different associations that are present in Africa, like for example, Tennis for All in Uganda. So like the association.
Yes.
That I visited. Even
what is the name of that one?
Inter-recruit, exactly. Regarding like back again to the support of tennis in Africa. We have the chance to be able to help without, I would say, giving too much from our side, you see. I've got I like telling this story. When I was in Uganda, I remember that I wanted to buy bananas, you see, and I remember I've got like it was 20,000 Ugandan shilling, you see. It's the equivalent of €5, you see, so €5. So every time, so I was standing like another guy, you see, and I was saying, hey, okay, Arnold, please get some bananas for me. And I remember he asked me one question. He asked me because we were a group of 7, and he asked me, hey, Mathieu, but you want me to take just for us or for everyone? And when he was saying everyone, he was talking about all the kids of the second group, so at the school where we were giving the tennis classes. And approximately, I think it was, between 40, 50 kids, you see. And I remember I told him, but Arnold, I don't think that I've got to please everyone. I said, no, don't worry, you've got enough, I said, okay, so this guy is no problem. So he went, buy bananas, and when he come back at school, I could see him, from far, he had like a big,
the whole thing.
A big bag like that. And I was like,
yes.
Hey, what is that? And me, I could have my own bananas, you see, because I wanted some for me. But all the kids could have at least one banana, you see. So it means that with €5, we like between 40 and 50% got one banana. €5, you see. So imagine, so what you can do, even for example, by donating only €20, for example, to Tennis for All Uganda, what you can do, you see.
This point is really important because it makes I think what you're trying to explain is investing in Africa is worth it, because €1, €5 can be thousands of nairas, of francs. What is the conversion in Uganda?
The shilling.
The shilling, can be super. It can be very convenient. I can talk from experience as well. It definitely makes sense, even if you want to make business, because
Mm,
a bread can be 50 cents. Like it's Africa itself. It's in terms of economy. If you hit the right market, it's a profitable country. But the thing is, like us, the ones that are in the continent, or the ones that are living there, they're not really aware of that, and or they don't take advantage of that,
mm,
of their economy, and how can they collaborate internationally with other people that may need, or they might find a bilateral relationship that they can win to win itself. But I like how like Afro Tennis it's open and have already achieved different projects that have been positively impacted in countries like Uganda. So if you are listening to us now and you happen to be would like to share more topics in this regards, or you have a similar story similar to Matthew, let us know in the comments because we cannot wait to hear how you're making impact in tennis in Africa.
exactly, exactly. And and really important to what you say about the comments, you see, because I think that the main idea of this podcast is for sure talk about topics, but even try to get like different point of views, different stories. You see, so
Exactly.
we will be like really happy, to hear what you have to say. We will be happy to know so how you feel things from your side.
Yes, or if you're in one African country, let us know where you are. Put your flag down below so we can see how many countries they are tuning in. That'll be dope.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
don't worry. I wanted to actually share a little bit of my experience getting involved in tennis in Africa because I was lucky enough that now I live in Madrid, but when I was living in Canada, and I always was thinking, okay, my career is just playing tennis. We won the championship in college, but I was always thinking about the kids that are in my country, how they play tennis. So what I did was after my experience in Canada, I asked my tennis team to collect an amount of boxes of tennis balls, and I donated them back into the federation in my country. And what I noticed when I got there in the capital in Malabo, these kids, when you see them, they're so eager. They're so happy that they're just happy to be there playing tennis,
Mm,
even with the bare minimum. I was talking with the coaches, they may say like, "Oh yeah, thank you so much for the tennis balls," and but then you see the kids, and they just put their Afro beats. They're just playing there. They just have so much fun.
I remember
You know.
in Uganda, you see, so there was one day it was raining so much, you see, that we couldn't train. We put like dance song, you see, like some vibes.
Ah,
And in Uganda, I was so shocked. And all the kids, they were starting doing backflips, you know? And I was like, "Whoa!" I was best one. I think that, Andrea, for the first episode, we said a lot of interesting things. Once again, I think that this sport needs a revolution, you see, and we are
yes.
we are the revolution.
We are the revolution. We are bringing tennis in Africa. Let's go.
Exactly. Or at least you see help to make grow the sport in Africa. You see, because I think that the sport is already there. You see, but for sure they need help in order to be like more thin than they actually are.
I agree. I was thinking about this a couple of days ago, why I decided to join Afro Tennis. And apart from Afro Tennis podcast, but Afro Tennis in general, the club. And I remember when I was younger, too, Serena Williams was my idol, but I never seen African, someone African. And I feel like in the media, and I think having a podcast and we are highlighting these players, clubs, federations, or stories is the right step to do so. And it's all about legacy at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Do you guys have any topics, any comments about the podcast? Let us know in the comments, as Matthew said. Matthew, where they can find us?
Exactly. That's a really good question. So you can find us on Instagram. It's easy. No, you can see it here. Afrotennis on Instagram. So for sure, follow, send your content. So to be honest, it will be a real pleasure to repost you. So don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to make this page grow. Invite your friends to follow. And for sure, per email, if you want, you can use the email hello@afrotennis.com.
Awesome. And quick thought, is there any African tennis player or African tennis former player or club that you would like to see in the next pod? Write their names in the comments so maybe we can invite them to the pod.
Exactly. Give us, contribute, and yeah, just participate, give us inspiration, and for sure it will be a pleasure to do that.
Yeah.
It will have been a pleasure. See you.
See you in the
Ciao.
next pod.